Hey, that's better. I was looking at the wrong angle here. Welcome back to the Ales and Fails Twitch stream. I'm your host, Ailwolf. Happy Thursday, everyone. We're almost there, 4/5 of the way through the week. Hopefully it's been a happening week for yourselves. Hopefully things have gotten accomplished. Here's hoping that no major tragedy struck your home. With us is a friend of the stream, John. John, how are you doing? Say hello.
I am doing pretty great. I'm having a pretty alright week so far.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Any salient highlights that you would like to highlight?
We did shoot down that Chinese spy balloon, so
Were you in the control room when that happened? Were you like Obama that time that he took down Bin Laden and you were in the control room and somebody was tapping on your shoulder saying something?
I have signed the non-disclosure agreement.
Okay, so the old NDA defense. That's I completely understand that. Not to worry, your secret is safe with me and the legions of the Taproom Tales nation. Well, that was important, and that is a developing story. So as soon as we hear some more details as to what was inside, we will cut in and report back to the situation in the control room. But while we're doing that and while we're waiting for things, I think let's get on to Elden Ring and play some meandering, maybe some taking down of some bosses that have eluded us for months at this point. Let's get to that. But before we even do that, let's go ahead and talk about what's on tap today. Any guesses as to what I have in my hands, John?
I'm going to say you have a Miller Lite.
That's very close, but actually no, not at all. This is a Radeberger Pilsner, and this one is a German Pilsner. Do you happen to know what a Pilsner is?
Could you jog my memory?
Well, a Pilsner is actually a lager. Very simply put, a lager. Probably one of the most basic types of lager. The difference between an ale and a lager, of course, is the fact that while ales use top fermenting yeast, lagers use bottom fermenting yeast, and they also ferment in a rather cool place, of course, away from light. And so they generally take a little bit more equipment to work through, and I say that as a amateur brewer. I haven't done too many lager-like beers. I've only ever prepared ales. I guess the closest thing I came to doing was a Kolsch, which is kind of a hybrid. But lagers, yeah, they're bottom fermenting. You generally put them in the cold. They're generally the most commercially available beer, I want to say. And beyond that, they're generally very crisp, very light. They're quite pleasant depending on which type you're getting, and certainly good for a hot summer day, which of course we are experiencing today. So I thought today was a good time to do that. And welcome to the stream, Dorkmander. It's been a hot minute since we last saw you. Welcome. Oh, thank you. These goggles. So actually, long-time viewers of the stream might remember the previous era of what is this stream called? Ales and Fails, where it was more of a kind of like a leather and chrome type of era. That's what I'll call it from now on. The leather and chrome era. I actually had some steampunk goggles, and I just happened to be browsing around for extra goggles because why would I not do that? And I saw these. They actually are essentially a take on the original steampunk goggles that I have, but hot pink. And so I thought, hey, why not? It's kind of a nice throwback to that whole thing. So thank you for noticing. Welcome to the stream. Hopefully you are ready to see some failings at the Elden Rings, as they say. But yeah, just to wrap up with Radeberger over here, let's see what Untapped has to say on the matter here. And let's go and change the scene. Okay. Crowned the official drink by King Friedrich August III of Saxony, Radeberger Pilsner is a style of beer brewed near Dresden. It's characterized by its dazzling and refreshing taste and has long been enjoyed by German nobility. So today we are enjoying the Pilsner of Kings, as they say. Uh, but that's enough chatter about that. Let's go ahead and pour this thing to see what it tastes like. Do you happen to remember the chrome and leather era, John?
I do. I think I may have been around for the tail end of that specific arc.
Do you miss it? Like the silver age of DC Comics?
Well, I'm sure there might be a reboot sometime down the line, so I miss it, but I foresee that maybe it might make a comeback one day.
Under the leadership of James Gunn?
Yeah, potentially.
Okay. Excellent. Let's go ahead and smell this. So generally the thing that comes more forward with a traditional German Pilsner is just the noble hops at the front. And I don't know how to describe it better than just the names itself. It's not necessarily a noble flavor, but it's very clean. It's very consistent. A slight herbaceousness, a hint of earthiness there, but yeah, I certainly enjoy it. Fingernail here, viewer. And so, like I suggested, very crisp. It reminds me of other golden ales, even though, like I said before, this is a lager. And very light, refreshing. I want to make it reminisce something closer to like not a very sweet lemonade, which I do enjoy on hot summer days. But that's enough of reflection. Let's go ahead and get on this thing. Okay.
You know, I was thinking about how it was interesting that you mentioned that lagers are bottom fermenting, whereas ales are top fermenting. It almost seems like there's some kind of dichotomy between the two, and it got me thinking: what happens if ales and fails has potentially a nemesis? That you know, instead of ales, we could say that the opposite is a lager. So what happens if you develop an arch nemesis whose name is the lager of lager?
Wait, like they're actually a blogger as opposed to a streamer?
Well, I was saying vlogger, not blogger.
Oh,
Because who does blogs anyways?
wait, a vlogger?
Yeah.
Does that word exist? Am I learning something new?
Somebody that does video blogs.
Oh, I see what you mean, a vlogger.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Sorry, that was my mistake. I wasn't trying to make fun of you or anything like that.
Yeah, the vlogger.
Yeah, I don't know. That seems like an interesting situation. That I would come to question the fabric of my reality. That since I haven't come to encounter other individuals like myself that fashion their brand after current pop culture content and at the same time beers, which doesn't seem to be necessarily one of the hippest things to discuss, generationally speaking. But maybe that's just my take on it. All right. So I forget where I was, but I think really the only thing I wanted to do before going down and trying to get past Margit today is simply level up one more time, since I have enough runes almost to get to my next level, and I really didn't want to lose them at that fight. So I'm probably gonna just fight around until I'm at that spot. What about you? What are you doing on your end?
I'm also grinding because I've hit a wall in terms of trying to beat certain mobs, so I just need to get more experience.
Cool. What zone are you working in?
I forget what this zone is called. It's the zone where you're about to reach this gate that is locked by some kind of magical key. It's right after I guess the second boss that you're forced to encounter, which is Godric.
No, I see. Would you say, and of course, I guess we don't necessarily need spoilers, but as I've said before, I don't really mind spoilers. Would you say that Godric was a harder difficult than Margit? And would you also say that if I am taking months to defeat Margit, would I take years in defeating this Godric?
Well, I don't know. I guess the patterns are a little bit different. I remember spending a lot more time probably beating Margit, but I think that was also part of me just de-rusting from Dark Souls in general.
Understood, understood. One of the things that I have heard on certain video essays is the notion that Margit is toughest for people that focus on melee combat. And maybe it's because that's probably one of the easiest quote-unquote classes to jump into when you're playing Elden Ring. And maybe that's why they chose to fashion him in the way that he is fashioned.
That is pretty interesting.
So, all that aside, what have you been up to? Have you been watching anything good? Consumed any interesting media as of late?
I guess recently I did continue watching that Dahmer series on Netflix. I got to the part where you said that there was a specific love interest, and then things happened to them.
Wait a second. Before we
Yeah.
move on, we are entering the spoiler zone for
Well, I'll
Dom.
try not to make I'll try not to make spoilers, but yeah, I guess light spoiler warning if you don't like a very high level overview. But there is a particular episode where there is a love interest introduced, and then certain things pan out uh, that aren't necessarily good for the titular character. And so I remember that you said that that episode stood out to you, and yeah, it was a really well made episode, and I wasn't surprised by the end of the episode, like how it turned out, but it certainly was an episode where you wish it turned out differently.
Yeah, that was a tough one. I actually don't want to leave this topic. Let's come back to Dahmer actually, but Dorpander over here just asked about the Nintendo Direct. Did you happen to catch it, John?
Oh, I did catch about half of it, yes.
What did you think?
So what I saw so far, what was it that I saw in the direct, I think? Were you able to catch any part of it?
Yeah, actually, I saw all of it this morning. I wasn't able to catch it live, unfortunately, and of course, a lot of it was already discussed by the internet by the time I got to it, but it was certainly enjoyable. Well, what did you think of the highlights, or what were the highlights from your perspective?
From my perspective, I did like, what's it called? Trying to think. I did like Pikmin 4. That looked like a really fun game.
Are you a Pikmin player? A PP, as they say?
I didn't play like the original Pikmin, but I've played a few titles in between, and it's a pretty fun game.
Nice, 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 nice. What did you think, Dorkmander? What were the highlights for you? Excited we finally have a release date for the next Zelda. I think it's May 2023, if I'm not mistaken. And are you excited for the new Zelda, John?
It certainly looks really interesting. I would have to check it out more to see. Is it something like in the same vein of Breath of the Wild, or is it more like a traditional Zelda?
Well, I believe it was supposed to be almost like a Breath of the Wild 2. That's how they are advertising, at least. I think that's how they are talking about it. And my question was, of course, is this supposed to be the same Link? I actually don't know that. It wouldn't surprise me if it is, just because of how successful that game was. But it would be interesting to see if actually this is yet another incarnation of the legendary hero.
I'm curious, have they ever persisted a link between Zelda games?
Well, there was I guess if we're talking about some Zelda lore here, I believe the Link from A Link to the Past is supposed to be, no wait, no, I don't know that, okay, the Link from Majora's Mask is supposed to be the kid version of the one from Ocarina of Time. I know that.
Really, how do they explain that? Because I always thought that it was like almost an alternate dimension, and it's just that the same team made a same team or a similar team to the one that made Ocarina of Time made Majora's Mask. So I would imagine they would just reuse the Kid Link asset. I never knew that there was a connection between Ocarina of Time, Link, and Majora's Mask.
I think when young Link, and I guess spoilers for Ocarina of Time, if you haven't played that 1997 game, once you defeat Ganon, you go back to uh, the original timeline as a kid, and that's that's where that character stays. And actually, at the beginning of Majora's Mask, I believe the reason why you go off on your own to Termina is because you're looking for Navi, your original fairy. And actually, now that I think about it, I don't know that you ever find her, find them.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't think so either. I think you have like a dark fairy, right? Like a purple fairy instead.
yeah, Tattle, I believe it's called. And Dorkmander says, yeah, May 2023. Also excited for Professor Layton. I've never played Ghost Trick, but I remember Z raving about it in high school, so thinking about trying it this time around. Um, I've actually never played Professor Layton, but I've always wanted to get into it. And for whatever reason, I feel like it came about during the Nintendo DS era, where that series was at its peak. I almost remember it being like a companion piece to the Ace Attorney series, and I thought at some point they actually did a crossover. It had some pretty interesting game elements, but I've never actually played it myself. Maybe now's a good chance. Have you heard of Layton, John?
I've heard of it, but I also never really had the chance to play it.
Gotcha.
Um, I was excited for Ghost Trick though. I did see that in the Nintendo Direct, and I was pretty. I guess I played the original back when it was on the DS, and it was really fun. So,
Well,
uh,
what does Ghost Trick play like? What's the gameplay like? Because I've actually never played it myself.
so it sort of plays like I guess like a point and click adventure slash what do you say, like a quick time event sort of game where you have to do certain things in a certain sequence to prevent like murders or to solve or to figure out certain clues. It sort of gives the same vibes that Ace Attorney does, but it's less visual novel like and more like point and click slash quick time, I guess, if that makes sense.
I see. I see what you mean. That seems like an interesting gameplay mechanic.
Hmm.
You have control over time. That's pretty cool. I wonder, do you know? Once again, I only saw the direct perfunctorily. Is this a remake or is this like a sequel? And maybe you could answer this one too, Dorkmander. I'm not sure.
I'm not too sure. I think it may just be a port, but yeah, it didn't seem like a remaster.
And that's cool. There's nothing wrong with re-releasing an old gem, as they say.
Yeah, I would recommend you play it. It's a very fun game.
And viewers of the stream might have noticed that I just needed to pull up a window on my screen. Uh, Forgiveness, but I needed to update my ticker. Now the correct drink is shown on screen. Now everyone who comes into the stream will be like, wait a second, he's not drinking a milk stout. I'm changing the channel. Um, Anyways, Dorkmander says, I believe it's a port to the Switch. Okay, that's cool. So I guess no need to go back into the library and play the older game. You can simply get a fresh take on this. So I did want to say that my favorite piece of news from the Direct was the fact that Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games are being launched onto the Nintendo Switch, and I guess people do know me as a retro enthusiast. So obviously that's the sort of thing that I'm very interested in. I saw that they're releasing Link's Awakening, which is probably my second favorite Legend of Zelda game. That being said, I haven't played too many of the modern ones recently, so. Uh, and here's wondering if I should play that again or if I should play the Switch version, the remastered version with the new graphics. Uh, I have played Link's Awakening so many times, and I feel like I've got a couple more playthroughs in my lifetime before I let it go. Have you ever played Link's Awakening?
Yeah, Link's Awakening is a very, very solid game. I definitely enjoyed it when it came out.
Yeah. So that should be fun. I also saw that among the list of games that they're re-releasing, it's for the Game Boy Advance. It's what is it? This rather unwieldy title, Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Brothers 3, and that I've obviously played. Not obviously, I guess maybe not obvious, but I've certainly played Super Mario Brothers 3 a number of times, all the way from the original Nintendo. I was actually considering having a small playthrough of Super Mario Brothers 3 at some point in the future. But I felt like if I were to go down the Super Mario All Stars, it would be very common ground that I've tried it in the past, and it would almost feel like a waste of time. I feel like I've never done the. If I'm to pursue one instance of doing this, maybe it would be through super through the Game Boy Advance version of this game. So maybe look for that in the future.
Have you ever played the Lost levels? Super Mario
Uh,
Brothers 1?
no, why must you bring up that horrible stain in my gameplay history? And Dorkmander says it's a classic. I'm sure you were talking about Link's Awakening. Anything that you are particularly looking forward to in the retro game collections being released for Game Boy or Game Boy Advance, Dorkmander? Certainly let us know. You were saying, John?
Oh, I wasn't saying anything. I was just saying whether or not you had played the Lost levels, but it
Oh,
seems like you
okay.
didn't.
No, I don't think so. Have you played the Lost Levels?
No.
Okay.
I have played some difficult Super Mario Maker levels before though, so I think that counts.
Yeah, so excited about that. I think that they are already released, um, so I might give them a poke at some point. Anything else that stood out to you from the Nintendo Direct?
Uh, Me, not really. Like I said, I only caught like a good portion of the first half, so I guess I'd have to keep looking to see if anything else caught my eye.
Cool, cool, very cool. Yeah, I would say a solid Nintendo Direct. Very jam-packed with announcements, games from, I feel, a ton of different publishers. So I'm very happy to see that there's still that the Nintendo Switch has this many number of quality titles, or at least very interesting titles, being re-released up to this day. How old is the Nintendo Switch at this point? It's quite long in the tooth, as they say.
I would say it is. That's actually a good question. I think so. Google says that apparently it released on March 3rd of 2017.
Wow. I tend to count these things by where I was working at the time, and yeah, that was definitely squarely where during the time that I was at my previous job. And Dorkmander says Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga is super good. Definitely have fun memories fighting my siblings over that game, about whose turn it was. I definitely like the Mario and Luigi series, even though I've never actually finished any of those games. I've certainly had very good time with their very innovative gaming mechanics, using both brothers as almost separate elements of a larger meta character, uh, and I feel like the humor on those games is also quite unique. I feel like when people compare the Mario and Luigi series to contemporary series like the Paper Mario series, I feel like the Mario and Luigi kind of edged that out, at least during the later entries. What is this? Have you
I
played
would
any of
say
the...
between
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I would say between Paper Mario and the first Mario and Luigi though, I think I have a soft spot for the first Paper Mario. I think I did enjoy that one quite a bit.
The one on the Nintendo 64?
Yes.
That's actually the only one that I've finished to completion. I know that the crown jewel of that game series is the one that came on the GameCube, the Thousand Year Door. And I know that at some point I will have to make time for it.
That is a game that I've also wanted to actually play. Thousand Year Door, just because I've heard so many good things about it.
Oh, great. Just killed by random dogs. Dorkmander says, I also have a soft spot for the first Paper Mario, although Thousand Year Door was pretty solid. Yeah, it was certainly a very good game given the tools that they have. I feel like this was during the time where I was also just waiting for a Super Mario RPG 2, and it somehow evolved into Paper Mario. And I had certain expectations, and those expectations weren't met, but instead it was a completely different world that I appreciated in its own merits, and any thoughts about Super Mario RPG 2 just kind of quietly went away. Certainly one of my favorite ones during the N64 era. I was pretty disappointed with the following Mario games like Sticker Star. I have only heard disappointing things about Sticker Star. I heard some moderately good things about the most recent Paper Mario, and I forget what that one was. That Paper King. It was the origami one. I think I
Yeah,
own it, but I've never played it. At least the
what's the
trailer
name of
seemed
that one?
compelling.
Oh, the Origami King. That's what it was called.
Alright, we're gonna call out the wolves. Let's go, boys. Let's go after these punks on the... Seriously, raiding some of these... Nice. One thing of note that I did notice that wasn't really mentioned during the direct is that they finally decided to release the Advance Wars re-release boot camp or something like that. Have you ever played Advance Wars?
No, I have not.
So they're like Fire Emblem type games that came out back in the day for the Game Boy Advance. The interesting thing about that is just the fact that those games were actually going to be released, I want to say maybe last year, but because of the war that was happening in Ukraine, they decided not to release it. And I
Oh,
felt
was
like
it
that game was
because
lost to time at that point.
was it because they were having trouble, I guess, with the supply chain, or was it simply because they didn't want to release any sort of war related
Yeah, it was because
media?
they thought that it would be insensitive to release a game that focused on war, given the conflict that's happening over there.
I see.
And honestly, I thought that was the last time that we would hear about that series, but I guess it is actually coming back, which is a good thing. It's unfortunate that it got delayed because of that, but real life does affect art in that respect. All right, I think I have enough. What do we call these runes? Is it runes in this game?
So I believe it is runes.
Okay, I believe I have enough runes to level up. I'm just going to get out of here and maybe try to give Margit the thrashing of a lifetime, as they say. Who's chasing me? I hear something bad. It's one of these woolly dogs. I never understand what these things are. They look like dogs made of leaves, but maybe that's just the fact that I have very poor computer graphics running.
I mean, I fought some pretty emaciated looking dogs in this game, but I don't remember any woolly dogs. It might be a different kind of enemy.
Oh, you know the shaggy dogs. That classic enemy, shaggy dog. Alright, so I will level up, and then we can do this. But by the way, if you're not at the point where you want to join, don't feel obligated to pop in.
I can I can join in a sec.
Sounds like a good time. Anything else that you've seen or consumed in terms of media this week, John?
Let me think. I guess I did play a board game, a pretty nice board game this past weekend with some friends. Have you
What
ever
was
heard of
that?
a board game called what is it called? The Lost Ruins of Arnik.
No, what's that about?
Oh, it's a pretty complicated board game, but it's essentially each round you're like building up resources and also at the same time building a deck. And there's just a lot of moving parts to the board game, but it's essentially just building more resources, building your deck, and then essentially gathering as many victory points as possible to get to the end. So uh, it's kind of funny because it's one of those board games where you certainly feel like you're not necessarily competing against other people. It feels like you're competing against yourself to make the most optimal moves with all of these different moving parts. And kind of the end of the game is sort of like a byproduct of you trying to like keep all of these things in your head. So it is pretty fun in that aspect.
That's that sounds very uh from that very brief explanation, that sounds like a very complex title. You said that you are building a deck, so it involves cards, or at least virtual cards.
Yes, it involves cards. It's
Ah,
a physical board game. It's actually for sale.
gotcha. How many players does it take to play?
Four, maximum of four.
How few players can you actually play that with?
I don't know. I played with four people, but um, I would imagine you could play with two people. But yeah, it's an interesting board game. I guess if you are not into super crunchy board games, then it might not be up your alley. But that was something fun and kind of a highlight of my week.
You know, that's the first time that I've heard anybody describe a board game as crunchy. What exactly do you mean by that?
Basically, you just have to keep track of a lot of things. So it's just keeping track of different resources, different dice rolls. Crunchy is kind of a term just to mean, complicated or uh, not super simple, where you're only keeping track of, like in Monopoly, you're only really keeping track of your money and your properties. It's a little bit more than that.
Oh, so you mean like a number cruncher, right?
Yes.
Gotcha. All right, I need to equip the shackles.
How about you? Any good media or any fun things you did this past week?
Hmm. Well, let me think. I did start on a new Korean drama. It's called 2521. Recommended to me by a very esteemed friend. It's, you're into Korean dramas, aren't you?
Well, I did like Squid Game.
Yeah, I guess that's. I guess you would qualify that as a Korean drama. I would probably call it a Korean series over a drama, but I see what you did there. Speaking of Squid Games and Korean dramas, I did hear about this new show on Netflix called The 100 or The Top 100. I'm gonna have to look it up. It is called. So it's supposed to be like a. It's like a physical challenge where um, apparently 100 people start out on a it's a type of game show. A lot of it involves physical challenges, and you wipe people out during each round. And apparently, they're supposed to be brutal physical challenges. And the interesting thing is that every participant is apparently like one of the top physical athletes, like the best boxer, or like somebody that was trained in like stealth forces, or somebody that was a bodybuilder. Just things like that. I'm gonna 100
This sort of sounds like the Olympics, but with a twist.
Okay, it is called Physical 100. Yeah, so the description is 100 contestants in top physical shape compete in a series of grueling challenges to claim the honor and cash reward as the last one standing. I was thinking about actually catching that at some point.
That does sound pretty interesting. Is that like an international show? Like, does it have people from all over the world, or is it from a
I'm
specific
assuming
country?
I'm assuming that it mostly recruited people from Korea, is my understanding.
I see.
So I'm gonna go do this. Do you want to jump in or not?
Yeah, let me just go over to that bonfire.
Very cool. So another round of Margit fights. We'll see how this pans out. But everything will be okay. Let me see if there's anything else I can do with my equipment. I haven't actually equipped anything new in the longest time. I do like to just keep my Greatsword in hand. I feel like I actually haven't gotten better equipment in a very long time, but that's probably also because I haven't really gone beyond the limits of everything that I can explore right now.
Alright, I put down my sign near the bonfire.
Did you flash your sign?
I did.
Like a ninja in Naruto?
Say that.
Alright. And I think I have to create some of those, some of these furl fingers.
Yeah, the finger remedy.
It looks like I only have like a handful of these. So I guess we better make them count.
Good to me.
Okay, it looks like I only have 36. Yes. So be ready for that.
We will beat him. We will beat him on the 35th.
That's very optimistic of you. And also summon our friend Roger, who's always a nice helping hand, of course. I feel like we've grown to know one another very well.
I would say Roger is a friend of the stream at this point.
Would you say that he's a friend of the family at this point?
I don't know if I'd go that far. Maybe your family.
Alright. Whoa. nice. Whew. I thought he was coming for me on that one. Beautiful. Ooh, feel like we're gonna fall.
Yeah, I do. As well.
Oh wow, I essentially got one shot on that one. Wild. I thought we were doing quite well until I got one shot. All right, let's get back on that buggy.
I put down my sign. Yeah, I would say that's good for a first try. I mean, we got more than halfway there.
Okay, let's just go ahead and say it's only going to get worse. That
So?
was the peak of this performance. We've already seen this recorded session from the future, and we already know that it only gets worse after this.
Come on, don't be pessimistic. Did you ever watch that First Dude movie?
Excuse me. I just alcohol went down the wrong pipe.
Oh no.
Yes, sorry about that. It is also the case that whenever I play Elden Ring, because it more or less assumes that it is the main screen, I can't actually turn off the microphone. So sorry about that. That was a lot of coughing.
You're good.
Ooh, nice. Ah, I should have delayed my roll. Recharge. That is some reach.
Indeed it is.
Whew. Beautiful.
Nice.
Wow. Ugh. It finally
Nice
happened.
work.
That's incredible.
Second try.
What do we do with our lives now?
I don't know. I think you can just end stream at this point.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching. That was good. But definitely a job well done. And I guess Margaret is saying some things.
See, I kind of regret at the start not saying because I had asked you if you had seen Dune before. I was going to say, you have to remember, as was said in that Dune movie, that fear is the mind killer. And I say that I was pretty confident that time versus the last time. So I do regret not saying that.
You know, I think the funny thing is that right before I started on that coughing fit, what I thought you said was, "Did you see the movie Dude?" And in my mind, I was thinking, "Well, what dude? Like, dude, where's my car?" And so I wasn't thinking about anything in particular that would have been particularly reflective, like what you just said.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the key. Maybe you needed a dumb question to clear your mind.
It's like, hey man, have you seen Dude, Where's My Car? Good times, good times. But that was a good fight. Thank you very much for the help. I'm going to go ahead and say that I probably would not have been able to do it without assistance or without like 100 hours of us practicing that fight. So there's that.
Well, that is how Dark Souls goes. I think the practice that we put in last time, I guess, stuck around.
You know, I think the funny thing is also just the fact that right before starting the stream, I was asking you, what should I name this stream? I don't want to reference Margit because we're just gonna fail. And actually, I decided to name it something completely different. And of course, it is the stream that we defeat Margit. So,
Yeah.
good times. I like it. So it goes. So it goes, as they say. So I guess this is the end of the game. I'm sure that there's nothing more after this.
No, you still have to reach Toad, and he has to tell you that Princess Peach is in another castle.
Gotcha. So that was So I'm sure you saw that SNL skit.
The one with the Mario Kart one with Pedro Pascal.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did.
that was a good time. Have you actually been seeing The Last of Us? Because obviously that was just kind of a take on that.
No, I've heard it's very good, but I just haven't caught it because I don't have HBO Max. But I'm sure I'll catch it eventually. I'll find a way to watch it.
Well, it's certainly a high recommend. I suggest you do watch it at some point, if not now, at some point.
Is the fourth episode out already?
I think it's actually being released tomorrow.
Oh.
Generally, they release these episodes on Sundays, but because what is it? Because there's like a gaming event. What is this? A bowl where there are superior people. I think that's what that's called. They are.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. The big game, as they say, the big game. So because of that, they're actually releasing it a couple days ahead.
Nice.
Wait a second, I didn't recover my flasks.
It is interesting that they have opted for a weekly release schedule versus kind of like a dumping it all at once schedule. Because I thought that streaming services kind of did really well when they did the whole, dump everything at once because binge watchers really love binge watching.
I think that that's true, but the problem with that strategy, and I am no analyst of these things, but I have heard at least that the problem is that because people will spend a weekend watching an entire season of something like, Stranger Things or something like that, they will talk about it intently for the first week or two that they see it, and then they won't talk about it ever again. Whereas if you drip feed the episodes, then it keeps the conversation going and it brings people to the streaming platform to watch other things while they are waiting for that particular thing to come out. So I don't know if that's what it is moving forward. I'm sure that there's an argument to be made for both strategies, but it seems to me like this works a little bit better in keeping the conversation going.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I guess I prefer honestly the weekly release schedule because I guess to start off I don't even really watch stuff weekly. I kind of watch it at my own pace, but I do like it to be a little bit slower because it does you get sometimes at least when I first watched Breaking Bad and when I was watching Better Call Saul and catching up to the final season,
I thought you were gonna say when
uh
I was young.
well, I guess I was younger back then by a couple of months, maybe a year or so. But it is nice because people make these Reddit threads specifically about an episode after it releases, and they kind of speak about the episode, and it's always nice to sort of pour over some of the commentary people have, and some of the theories they have because I don't know, that's fun. I think that sort of discussion is fun to me. So whereas where you have something that releases all at once, that's kind of gone.
Yeah, you do lose being part of that conversation if that's something that you value. I feel like if you release something over time, then it gives you more of an opportunity to participate in that conversation. If that is one way in which you enjoy media, at least. I myself, the reason why I enjoy the oh my god, somebody just whispered to me, and it actually freaked me out. Now, wait a second, this is Patches.
Patches.
He looks
I think
like
that's
Patches,
Patches.
anyways. That's not Patches. Never mind.
I would advise against taking the main gate into the castle. It's tightly guarded by hardened old hands. Try the opening right here. The guards don't know about it. You'll breach the castle undetected.
I don't know. I feel like I should use the main gate.
Fair enough. You certainly don't have to trust me. Well,
You trust him
if
though?
you must go through the
I don't know that I
gates,
would trust a
we'll
guy that
open.
looked like a
But of course, I'd
zombie
advise against it.
prince hobo. No, not necessarily the
Don't all
most.
the
What?
what I was gonna say is don't all the children's books, when you were a kid, didn't they tell you not to judge a book by their cover? I mean, didn't Shrek teach us that?
Shrek did teach us a lot of that. That's true. So it's either take this passage or go through the main gate. I don't think the main gate can even open. So I don't know what they're talking about. No, steak of Morica. One of the things that I find very interesting about Elden Ring is that it just suddenly goes into platforming challenges, and it is certainly not something that I expected from a game like this.
Well, this is the first Souls entry that introduces jumping, so
Really?
yeah, as far as I know. I know that in the mainline Dark Souls games you definitely can't jump. You can only roll.
That's kind of interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah, I think even the first time that I picked up this game, it felt a little bit jarring because I played Dark Souls 1, so I think there was like some muscle memory where I was pressing the jump button to dodge, but I guess I was pressing the wrong button, per my muscle memory.
So I have heard that Margit is actually an optional boss. Shock of all shocks. Have you heard about that?
Really?
Yeah, so you can actually skip him if you really search around the castle walls. There are ways to move past him
Oh,
without
that's
actually
interesting.
engaging him in fight.
I guess I would be curious to see how that's possible because
Well, so
I
I'm
mean,
actually trying to backtrack through that path because apparently there was a way to completely sidestep that fight, and of course there is land around the Margit location. I'm trying to see if I can actually backtrack my way all the way to where I could have gone.
wouldn't it be funny if there's actually an entirely pacifist route that you can take in Elden Ring, like even for the last boss?
Like you can befriend everyone, a la
You can avoid people or you can make friends with them.
Undertale. You can just befriend everybody.
Yes. But speaking about Undertale, have you heard that other... So the creator of Undertale, you may know his name is Toby Fox. Did you know that he's making a new game that... I don't know if it's specifically in the same universe, but it's called Deltarune. Have you heard about that game?
I do remember hearing about it when the first chapter came out. I also know that it is a game that was divided into chapters. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
So have you
So
played
I
it?
don't know if that... I haven't. I don't know if that game has come out entirely, but is that something that you plan to play in the future?
Deltarune? I think if it comes to a platform that's accessible to me, like the Switch, I would probably go for it.
Really want to look up. It says released coming soon, so I guess it hasn't released. Makes me wonder if any chapters have released, apart from the first one.
You mean for just in terms of the game itself in any platform, or are you talking about the Switch?
Just in general.
Okay.
Apparently, Chapter 1 released in October 31st of 2018, and Chapter 2 released on September 17th of 2021.
Yeah, so it's definitely been a while since that first chapter was released, and that's when I first heard about it. But I've never actually tried and played it, and I'm certainly interested to see what are the themes of that game and how it reflects back on Undertale. So Dorkmander says Deltarune is on the Switch. That's where I played it. Also highly recommend. Would you recommend it as highly as Undertale? But yeah, certainly something that I would intend on picking up at some point, and I guess if it's available on the Switch, I should play it at some point. I feel like it's probably, this is kind of like a not, maybe this is just a me thing, but there are certain games that strike me so significantly that they become associated with a particular time in my life. And I specifically remember playing Undertale and taking it in, and I specifically remember where I was at during that particular moment. It's almost like a landmark. And of course, everyone on the internet has already said everything that they needed to say about Undertale, of course. So I'm not going to add to that conversation. All to say that that is the kind of mark that it struck upon me.
I would say I have a similar effect to games like that, and I think Undertale certainly is no exception. I guess the best way to sort of describe how you feel about, you know, certain games like Undertale, it almost feels like when you smell a very particular smell and it takes you back to like a very specific time in your life. I think it's similar.
Gotcha. Whoa, somebody just started trying to snipe me. Jeez.
Did you get invaded by somebody?
No. It was, I tried to go through the main gate of, whatever castle this is, and, I think they shot me with a ballista, or at least some sort of ridiculous crossbow. I think I see the people over there. Yeah. Okay, so Dorkmander says, I'd say it's just as good as Undertale. Without giving too much away, the stories are definitely linked, connected. And that's what I thought, because I know that at the very least, they use a lot of the same character models, and I can't imagine that that was simply the idea of reusing assets. Given the creator and his pedigree, I'd almost feel like there was a purpose to doing that. So I'm sure that there's a connection there. Thank you for confirming, Dorkmander. But yeah, I should play that at some point, and I will play it before I draw my last breath. Oh, I can't call on my horse. That's unfortunate. Jeez, okay. That's not gonna... If I can't call my horse, I probably can't go through that place.
You could call on your wolves, probably, right?
No, doesn't look like it. I'm just gonna run and steal the thing. Ah, crap.
You do have your big tower shield.
You know what? For as much as I like brandishing my shield, I don't know that it does the thing that I necessarily wanted to do 80% of the time. Like, it is a huge shield that will take away the striking feeling from most, like, pawn enemies, but for anything that's more than significant, it will just always waffle.
Oh, by the way, I do want to warn you. How many runes did you get from Margit? Can you level up?
9,708. So I guess I probably can. I should probably
Would
do that.
recommend you do that.
Yeah. Are you suggesting that I'm about to get killed? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, but I'm just saying, better to be safe than sorry.
Well, Aha put it first.
It's true.
I am really tempted to continue increasing my endurance until I can equip that Colossal Sword, but I don't know if it's worth it. I might just be wasting my stats at this point. But of course, no need to min-max this particular run. Let's go for the Almighty Strength, because that's always going to be something... Well, actually, Vigor. I do feel like I need more HP.
Interesting you say this run. Do you expect to play this game using a different build?
Absolutely not. Or rather, I heavily doubt it. This game is already so long, and I've only scratched the surface, so it doesn't make sense for me to consider that I might play again. I have been tempted to... I know that at some point... I don't think this is a spoiler, but I know that at some point you can reconfigure the gains that you get from leveling up. And so at that point, I might consider just doing a mage build. I don't think that I have it in me to play it again, though.
Yeah, I think I feel pretty similarly about that. It is a pretty long game.
Alright, let's run. Oh, come on. Whew, made it. I stole all the treasures in front of the main gate at least, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to go through the main gate, unfortunately. At least not in this state. Just go through the side passage.
The gates are open. Do as you like.
I guess I should have trusted that man, despite his garbs. And welcome back to the stream, Nanji. No, don't trust him. He's sus. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I do like to judge my books by their cover. Catcher in the Rye comes to mind. But you know, there's nothing to be gained if there's nothing to be ventured. Yeah, everyone really in this game is sus. I don't know that. Would you say, John, that you've encountered any character in this game that doesn't either seem to have ulterior motives given their speech patterns, or just looks devious in some way?
Well, the lady that you encounter, the bonfire lady, the one that what was the terminology?
The maiden, that not.
Yeah, the one that makes you not maidenless.
Okay, yeah. I think she's supposed to look angelic, though. I think that was by design. And also, I think she's ethereal, so you can't actually tell her features or anything like that.
Well, that's one person that doesn't seem sus immediately.
Okay, so 1 out of 999 out of everyone in this game. To be perfectly honest with you, I think that this is probably the one game where you get to create your character, and I don't like the way that my character looks. And I tried really hard to make a good looking character, and I couldn't. But it's okay, at least they're wearing a helmet. Okay. Let's see, is there anything that I can... Oh, this might be something. Maybe I'll have to go down before going up. Can I see what your character looks like? See, can I actually unequip my... If I unequip my helmet... Yeah, so I think that's as good as it's gonna get. I don't actually know that you can zoom in. I'm sure that you can probably... No, that doesn't make sense. Well, yeah, I think that's what he looks like. And I am sure, if you know me, I was trying to make a character that is a take on Squall from Final Fantasy VIII, and I failed. So that's what my character is right there.
Doesn't look too bad.
Yeah, I just know that he has seen better days, that's all. Oh man, where's that meme? You mean the one from Final Fantasy VIII? Yeah, the pixel squall. The very handsome squall. What is this? Wow, I can't land a hit on this thing. Ooh, killed by a bird with icicle legs. Beautiful.
With bicycle legs? Is that what you said?
Icicle legs, like an ice pick. Am I?
Oh.
Are you pure melee, no ranged? Yeah, I'm actually pure melee. The only things that I have in terms of long range attacks are like my darts, which don't really help in killing anything. It's mostly just to bring enemies to my attention. Bring their attention to me, as I say. It is kind of annoying that I can't use my horse in this. Okay. Well, we'll have to try again. That's okay. Have you not encountered this enemy, John?
Oh, I've encountered that bird with swords in its leg. It's super annoying. Killed me many times.
Yeah, I might just run. That is also a viable choice here.
That is certainly the Joseph Joestar option.
And I hear it. Oh, come on, I didn't... Let's get out of here, guys. Ooh.
I will give you a tip. It is easier to counter that guy, beat him.
Ooh, drop them in a single shot. I just needed to get a clear shot, I guess. Yeah, so my sword is incredibly slow, but if it hits you, it just slams down like a bat. So that's the one nice thing about it. And for whatever reason, my mind is trained to always go for the heavy hit instead of the normal thing, which is a normal hit. Cool beans. Alright, let's keep going. See what the story is here. I've been playing too much Genshin. I fully expected you to climb that cliff. There's definitely been times where I've been playing this game and I try to hug a wall to try to see if I'll climb. And that's because Monster Hunter probably. No, that was a cool game. Oh great. Somebody sounded the alarm. Now in real life you wouldn't want to fight in such close quarters with such a huge sword, but I guess it worked here. Maybe I'll just sneak on by. I guess another thing that I do enjoy about Elden Ring is that there are areas where you can definitely just play it like a stealth ninja and you can actually get by certain enemies. And it's not about like cheesing the computer and that they don't detect you from far away. It literally is about playing your route correctly and trying to catch things before they catch you. Has it always been the same in other Soulsborne games, John?
Yeah, you are able to sneak past certain enemies. I will say that that particular aspect is also pretty enjoyable to me, and I kind of wish that I picked like the assassin archetype at the beginning, because I think it would be pretty fun to play like, sort of a strike first sort of character.
Gotcha. And Namji says, oh no, not this area. Oh. I might begin to see what you mean. Okay. So, the way outside is a no-go. Let's see what's in here. It's just my natural feeling every time I walk into a room with barrels and crates to just destroy them. Like any Zelda game. Probably not the best idea though. What are these guys? They're enemies. See if I can pick them off one by one. And that is the extent of my ranged attacks, picking people off with bow and darts. Which of course doesn't work if they themselves have ranged attacks. Nice. What are you up to in your corner of the world, John?
Just continuing doing some grinding, and then I'm going to go find that key that I need to unlock this place. Nothing too exciting.
Alright, barrels destroyed. Barrels neutralized. This looks like a cellar of some sort, my natural habitat. Behold something incredible. Nice, look at that. See, like I was saying, as long as I can get that first hit in, enemies just go down like butter. It's the problem is, of course, getting that first hit. Alright, there doesn't seem to be anything actually of interest. I believe that message lied to me, good sir.
Some messages are nice, some are not so nice.
Wait a second, this is where I came from actually. I was going backwards. Hook claws. Alright, there doesn't seem to be anything else in this cellar. Let's go on up. Certainly appreciate the atmospheric music.
Is it playing lo-fi hip-hop right now?
Of course it is. That's exactly what I meant.
Well, you can't question the people that make the Souls series. They have good taste.
Cool, cool. Something's attacking me and I can't see where it's coming from. There's a door here. Monster ahead. Some more daggers. Boss ahead. I don't think I'm ready to jump into the ether here. Doesn't seem safe. Not like a lot of things in this game really play off as safe. Okay, let's go down this door, see what's up. It is locked, of course. And there's an opening here. Saint Trina's arrow. I guess that would mean something if I had a bow and arrow. Maybe that's something that I should look into actually. Maybe having a more stable ranged weapon. Though I don't remember having come across a bow this entire time. Maybe it's something that I need to purchase. Do you generally tend to stick to a single weapon in Elden Ring, John?
I do. I mean, I usually cycle between the longsword, two-handing the longsword, or otherwise using some kind of one-hander, like I don't know what the one-handed sword is, but using that or the axe.
Does the axe play that much differently? It sounds like another standard melee weapon. Does it play a lot differently than conventional sword?
It is a little bit heavier. You have a little bit more wind up and a little bit more recovery time with it, but it does do a little bit more damage as a result. So I usually like it when I need a little bit more speed than the two-handing, but at the same time I would like to do a little bit more damage, and I don't need as much speed as when I just use the one-handed sword.
Gotcha. So it doesn't play like a switch axe, is that what you're saying?
It does not play like a switch axe now.
Alright, maybe we need to go down here. Oh, what the?
Oh, speaking about the Nintendo Direct, I did see that game. So I've heard of the game called Dead Cells, but I saw that they were coming out with like an expansion that was like Castlevania themed. That looked really cool. Have you ever heard of Dead Cells or have you played it before?
So this is the first time that I've seen that game. I was also struck by the fact that it was themed after Castlevania. When I saw the direct, I actually thought that it was a new entry to the Castlevania series, but I feel like I would have heard about a bigger announcement before today if something like that was happening. So no, I was quite surprised. I didn't know that it was like an expansion or a set. And Namji says, highly recommend Dead Cells. It consumed my very being back in 2018. I have no idea what it plays like. Does it actually play like a Castlevania game? Do you know anything about it, John?
So I did look it up and it says it's a roguelite Metroidvania inspired action platform. So I would
Gotcha.
imagine it's very similar.
Okay, and Namji confirms it does. I certainly have enjoyed thus far all of my Castlevania, Metroidvania experiences. And this seems like a slightly more modern take on it, so it might be worthwhile pursuing it, especially if they do have something that reminisces that old Castlevania game. I must be in a completely. I thought I had just gone through this, but I guess this is a new area. Oh well. So this is where I was before. Oh, I see. Speaking of Metroidvania games, if anyone is so inclined watching, I do stream Super Metroid every once in a while. During the retro corner of the stream, aka the retro Ratskeller. It's quite a laugh. Very much enjoying that game though. As much as I'm getting lost in it, it's certainly a very memorable experience.
After you beat Super Metroid, do you see yourself playing any other Metroid games?
So, I think it'll be a while. Actually, the reason why I decided to play Super Metroid was because my original intent was to play the Holy Grail of Castlevania games, Symphony of the Night. But then I thought I could play Symphony of the Night, but how about that Super Metroid? And that's why I started it. Just because I know that they're each like the crown jewels of that style of game for those series, and I know that Super Metroid came first, so I kind of wanted to almost absorb that experience chronologically.
I see. Okay, because I was kind of questioning your thought process there, because that's like me saying, hey, I would really like to play Super Mario 64, but how about Crash Bandicoot?
How about Gex Enter the Gecko?
Yeah. But I see your point now, a little bit more. So okay, well that's interesting. I guess it would be cool to see you visit a Symphony of the Night one time though, because that's certainly a classic.
Yeah, and I have played other Castlevania games, specifically from the Game Boy Advance era. I did download the Switch collection for Game Boy Advance Castlevanias, which I intend to stream at some point in the future. So look for that in 2026, I think. But yeah, I certainly enjoy that type of game, and if Dead Cells is something like that, maybe that's also something that I should invest some time into. This place is strange. Okay, so there's definitely an enemy up there. This looks like a mirror of some sort. Night ahead. And at this point, I think we are more or less wrapping up with the stream. My Cinderella time is a-coming, as they say. So I'm trying to look for a safe place at this point. Nothing was here. Wait a second.
Well, that sign did say that there's a knight ahead, so it seems like it's a pretty safe place to be next to a knight.
Knights are very gallant. Gallant knights.
By the way, in case the sarcasm wasn't picked up on, I would probably not face any sort of knight in Dark Souls.
What about the Sir Earbeard?
Earbeard?
What's the name of that guy? The one that knows it all. You know who I'm talking about? The character in this game that has a helmet made of ears. He's at that round table. Not the pizza, though, of course.
You're talking about Sir Gideon Ofnir, I think?
Yeah. That's the one.
Earbeard. Does he have ears in his beard, or is it just like...
Oh, was I just killed? What happened? Oh, did I just... What is happening here? Oh, gosh. Well, that's the end of that. Yeah, shield up. I actually got to block that first attack, but maybe that consumed a bit too much stamina. Maybe give it one more shot. I doubt that I'll get all the way over there. Honestly, I remember this room, didn't want to spoil it. That guy sucks. Yeah, that was certainly unexpected. Though, I gotta say, going into that room, I thought that it was gonna be something creepier. Given the fact that they put you in like a lights out mode. I didn't expect like a straight up melee fight. And of course it just happened to be a overpowering melee fight. I really doubt that I'm gonna make it all the way over there in this run.
I guess you were right, that guy does have ears on his beard. Or has a beard composed of ears.
Wow.
Never noticed.
Yeah, that guy definitely sucks. I appreciate you not spoiling the surprise, Namji. That was terrible. Alright. I'll probably play just a couple more minutes, but then we can call it a wrap. There will be definitely more chances to take down that fella. No need to go that way. Let's see if we can just run up and... Wow. I need more fire protection or something. I do have a talisman for that, now that I remember. friend of the stream, In I Go, just popped in. Sorry to say that I'm actually just wrapping up here. Good to see you. Could this be an item? I don't know what they're referring to. I gotta say, probably 95% of the messages that I encounter in this game are... I generally read them and don't think really too much of them. Yes, I happen to be wrapping up for this afternoon. I will be on at my usual time though, late in the evening, if you are so inclined to catch more antics. I don't recommend it. Alright, let's give this guy one more go. And it'll be a fun... And my shield's up. There we go. Wow. Seriously. Well, he's just got the better shield, I guess. Alright, I think that's it. Let's go ahead and switch scenes. Yeah, definitely Sag. In I Go says, you streaming later night or some other day? So generally I stream Thursday nights and Friday nights closer to 11 o'clock PST, right around that time, for my usual late night ROMs, so feel free to join in. Indeed, Sag, Namji. So for anyone so inclined to look at more of this, my sad playthroughs, feel free. But let's go ahead and wrap up over here. Let's jump to... Let's go to clarity. Alright, so that was Elden Ring for this afternoon. We had exactly one excellent moment where we defeated Margit after... How long has it been since I attempted doing this? I'm probably gonna say it's probably the better part of the year that I've been trying to do this. So that was a one mild victory. We've encountered yet another blockage in our progress, but that's okay. We'll probably be playing this game until 2028 at this rate. Yeah. So thank you for joining, John. Any parting words here?
Yeah, I would say that was a monumental victory, and yeah, nice job all around.
If anything, the greatest loss here is that we won't have our friend Roger to dunk on anymore. But so it goes. We'll remember him in other ways. Thank you very much for your company, Dorkmander. Hopefully I catch you again on one of my afternoon streams. And thank you very much, Namji, as well, for all the sagely advice as usual. And for everyone else, stay thirsty, Elpack. We'll see you again.